Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about ditching the old paper sign-in sheets and clunky punch cards for something that feels like it's straight out of a movie: face recognition. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of how these smart attendance systems actually work, from the first time you sign up to what an administrator sees on their screen. So let's dive right in and see what's going on behind the scenes.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? When you step in front of a camera, what's really going on in that split second? How can a machine look at your face and know with near certainty, yep, that's them? That's the core mystery we are going to unpack today. All right, before we get into all the high-tech details, let's just set the stage a little bit. What exactly makes this new kind of system smart? Well, probably the easiest way to wrap your head around it is to put the old way of doing things right next to the new way. I mean, just look at this. The difference is night and day. On the left, you've got the old way. We all know the drill: messy paper sign-ins, forgetting your ID card, and of course, the classic buddy punch where your friend clocks you in when you're running late. It was slow and honestly full of mistakes. But on the right, the new way is the total opposite. It's instant, it's way more secure, it's completely contactless, and it's all driven by AI. Okay, so that's the big picture view. But to really get it, let's look at this from the perspective that matters most: yours. What's it actually like to sign up and enroll in one of these systems for the very first time? So, what does this actually look like in real life? Well, it's actually way simpler than you might think. First up, you just pop in your basic info. Next, the system captures your face. This could be a couple of quick photos from different angles or maybe a short video. And here's the crucial part: you have to give your explicit consent. You have to agree to the privacy policy. Finally, the system does some quick automatic checks to make sure the images are good quality, and you're verified. It's a one-and-done setup that honestly takes just a few minutes.
Okay, this next part is super important because it clears up a huge misconception people have. The system does not store your photo in some giant digital album. It's not saving your selfies. Instead, it analyzes your unique facial features and turns them into something called a facial embedding. The best way to think about it is like a unique mathematical fingerprint of your face. It's this secure string of numbers, this code that gets stored, not the picture itself.
All right, so you're all set up. What's the day-to-day like? Simple. You walk up to a camera and it recognizes you instantly, in real time. But here's where it gets really smart. It uses something called liveness detection to make sure it's the real live you and not just someone trying to trick it with a photo or a video on a phone. Once it confirms you're you, boom, you're marked present. If there's any doubt, it's unverified. It even has an offline mode that can log you in and then sync up all the data later. Pretty cool.
So that's the user experience. Pretty smooth and seamless, right? Now, let's flip the script and see what this whole thing looks like from the other side, from the administrator's dashboard. Let's check out the view from control.
And this is where you really see the power of the system come to life. From one single place, an admin can literally manage everything. All the users, all the devices. They can see a live feed of who's in and who's out. They can set custom rules like defining official working hours or setting grace periods for being late. And every single thing that happens is logged, giving you a perfect, verifiable record of it all.
And all of that data starts to tell a story. An admin can spot trends almost immediately. They might look at a chart like this and think, that's interesting. The marketing team's attendance is a bit lower than engineering's. Is it because they're out on the road at client meetings? Or is there something else going on? This is the kind of insight that was basically impossible to get with an old sign-in sheet.
And here's a key feature. All that juicy data isn't locked away inside the system. You can generate all kinds of custom reports and then export them into standard formats that everyone uses, like CSV, Excel, or PDF. This is an absolute game changer for connecting the system with other crucial software like payroll or HR platforms. You know, speaking of connecting everything together, that's the perfect segue into our next part. Because to make all of this happen, the instant recognition, the deep data analysis, the reports, you need some serious horsepower. So let's pop the hood and take a look at the brains and the brawn that make it all possible.
So the AI doing all the work here isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. It's flexible. First, you've got edge mode, which is like your phone's face unlock. All the thinking happens right on the device, so it's lightning fast. Then there's cloud mode, which sends the data to a powerful central server to do the really heavy lifting. And you guessed it, hybrid mode, just mixes and matches, giving you the best of both worlds, speed and power.
Okay, the big question. How accurate is this thing really? Let's look at the numbers. First, we have the false accept rate. This is the chance that the system messes up and lets an imposter through, that it thinks someone else is you. The goal for this number is less than 0.1%. In other words, it is extremely rare for the system to make this kind of mistake.
Now, on the flip side of that coin is the false reject rate. This is the chance that the system fails to recognize you even though you are the correct person. This is targeted to be 3% or less. So what does that tell us? It shows the system is designed to be cautious. It would much rather say, hey, I'm not totally sure, can you try again, than it would be to just let the wrong person in. Of course, anytime you're dealing with this kind of personal data, security and privacy have to be priority number one. And they should be. That's why these systems are built with security baked right in from the very beginning. Your data is encrypted whether it's just sitting on a server or flying across the internet. Access is super tightly controlled so people only see what they absolutely need to see. And it's all built to comply with major privacy laws like GDPR.
All right, we have covered a ton of ground here, from a user's very first day all the way down to the deep tech that runs the show. So for this last part, let's zoom back out one final time and pull all these different threads together to see the big picture.
When you lay it all out like this, you can see the whole system is really like a set of building blocks, where each piece has a specific job. You've got the user enrollment block to get people into the system. You have the attendance capture block for those daily check-ins. There's the big admin dashboard for managing the whole operation. You have APIs to connect it to other software. And holding it all up are these two massive foundation blocks, security and privacy, and of course, the machine learning engine that makes all the magic happen.
So I think the main thing to take away from all this is that this isn't some far-off science fiction technology anymore. It's here, it's now, and it works with incredible accuracy and security. And that leaves us with a much bigger, more profound question to think about. Now that this powerful technology exists and is being used, what are the rules we as a society should build around it to make sure it's used responsibly and ethically? That's the conversation we all need to be having. Something to think about.